Mermaid. Every girl born between 1984 and 1995 knows exactly what the Little Mermaid hair flip is. Walt Disney Records is releasing a series of albums called the Legacy Collection. Now, we've already been able to review The Lion King, Mary Poppins, and with Sleeping Beauty on the way, but right now we are going to be reviewing the one that made us all dream of The Fathoms Below. Okay, the first thing I want to point out is the artwork, obviously. All of the artwork for the Legacy series has been done by the wonderful Lorelei Bove. She is really, really good. I love the fact that she's able to put her own style into this, and yet it's like really close to the original, so it's undoubtedly Little Mermaid. And it's like, look at it, these fishies, they give it just the right touch, don't you think? The first thing I was interested in was obviously looking at the art, flipping through and seeing all of it. But then when I actually started reading, I realized that this is way worth more than its weight in gold. Like, it was just so great. They have little synopses of the history behind the making of the soundtrack from John Musker and the amazing Alan Menken. I knew Alan Menken did all of the music for the original songs, and I also knew that he did the score, but it didn't really ever hit me as significant until I actually read this and realized this was the very first movie he had ever done any type of scoring for. And it was a really big trial and a really big success for him. And it just made me so happy because honestly, this is one of those films that the score has, as he puts it, enough Mickey Mousing, to where you can hear the action in the song, but also enough of the nuances that just bring you in and make you love this album. I can listen to this from start to finish. I can listen to this from in the middle to wherever and know exactly where I am in the movie and just be so entranced with nostalgia that it's just overwhelming. It's fantastic. But honestly, the best part was this man is so gracious. Holy moly. Like, you just listen to him at the very end of his little speech. First off, he talks about his kind of just his relationship with Howard Ashman, who died not too long after all of this. And, it doesn't spend a lot of time on that subject, but, at the very end, it just kind of like brings it all together. And I honestly cried as I got teary-eyed as it ended because it was like, oh man, one, Howard Ashman was just such a good man, but also just the way that Alan Menken writes is just so gracious, like I said. Here's a little bit of the end of his tale, and I just love it. It says, maybe someday I'll get back to living like I did on that farm, and maybe some other young composer will get the call to bring a new life to an old form. It's an amazing torch to receive, an amazing torch to pass on, Alan Menken. I even just get emotional thinking about it right now. Like, you're just you're awesome, Alan. Love you. As far as the music goes, you get 2 discs. The first disc is the full soundtrack, complete in its amazing form. And so that one, just in and of itself, is totally worth it. But then they go a little bit further and adding disc 2. Now, disc 2 is on repeat in my car. Why? Well, because disc 2 is actually like all of the work tapes that Alan Menken and Howard Ashman did. And they're all with their voices. Like, it's so great. I mean, in Frozen, the Deluxe edition, how they have at the very end, you have Robert and Christina Lopez talking about all these different things, and it's all sung by them and their children, which is fantastic. Love it. You should totally get it. But this one is it's basically the same, but also adds another layer of like, that's cool. I did recording engineering in school, and so he goes in, Alan Menken talks about, this is my favorite part, let's find it. He talks about the production process where he, using MIDI technology, which basically is one of the forerunners to say what you would understand as GarageBand. It's a multi-track recording system that is so annoying because like you don't have a screen or anything, and you just have to like lay things out by a click track, and everything is very it's just too much. I love living in today's technology. He said that they would first lay down those demo tracks, which of course were way more elaborate than any of the demo tracks they'd ever done before. And then he says, rather than arranging for full orchestra sessions with our singers, the production plan was to produce our finished vocal performances to tracks, drawn by my demo tracks, and later, in scoring process, have the full orchestra replace those tracks. It was difficult, inconvenient, and of course, cheaper. Thankfully, it was a plan we would never have to repeat in future projects. That sounds terrible. One really cool thing is when you're listening to these demo tracks, like you hear Howard Ashman have a couple different renditions of Poor Unfortunate Souls. And first off, the longer renditions are fun to know, like, oh, there are extra verses that we never got to hear. And then you realize, well, it's good that you cut them because it works out perfectly in the movie that itself. But you hear Howard Ashman and he does this perfectly, like, so great. So definitely this is a buy it. Get to the store, get on Amazon. We got the Amazon links below if you don't want to just go to rotoscopers.com/Little Mermaid soundtrack. You can find it there. So worth it. Until next time, my name is Chelsea Robson, and you are watching the Rotoscopers YouTube.